Stung, tough loss. Like we said yesterday, you got to move on from this one real fast. Coming up Thursday night game, we know how quick a turnaround that is here. A very well coached team, good football team. So all eyes on New England.
I know there's no moral victories, obviously, but are you happy with the way the team responded to take the adversity as they had in the first half and to make a comeback?
There's no doubt the football character of this team, I think, has been on display really week in and week out. I think yesterday was another example of that, just the continued fight. I could not be happier with that.
Coach, when you look back on yesterday, I know you said you'd go for that 10 out of 10 times. Would where you are win-loss record or where that game is in the season have anything to do with your thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think it's also probably reasonable to put that scenario in context. Yesterday, that's such a rare scenario where you get to the end of an overtime game. That's first, obviously, with the new rules. I mean, it's never happened to me like that before. I probably should give context to the 10 out of 10. I mean, it's probably not a complete absolute as much as it is a mindset of being aggressive. There's always a lot of things to consider. To say it's an absolute, it was emotional yesterday, tough loss. The mindset is we're going to be aggressive. Okay, so that's probably more a better perspective for me to put it into context that way.
Frank, if your health stays the same at tackle, are you riding two guys that you rode with the other day, or do you have options? Are you looking at things?
No. Well, I should. Everyone's always look. Chris is always looking. We're always looking how to improve the team. But feel like our offensive line. You play that many snaps, there's definitely some minus plays. That's a very tough assignment. I'm not sure there's a team that has the quality of two defensive ends of Clowney and J.J. Watt that we saw yesterday. That combination is pretty lethal. So those guys our tackles had some negative plays, but they had a lot of good plays. And so we're happy with their progress, with the way they're playing. We all need to get better. I categorize them in the same way.
Fred, along the same line with the tackles, in the second half, things kind of settled down. I got to go back and watch, so I don't know this offhand. Did you give them more help or something, or did they just sort of man up and handle those?
I think it was a combination of, I think it was mostly the no huddle. I think it's mostly the no huddle. You could visibly see their defensive line tired, hard to rush. We've always said and known that that's one of the advantages of the no huddle, but you got to make first downs and to tire them out. And we started doing that when we got on a roll. Andrew was unbelievable. I mean, Andrews was unbelievable. I mean, he was just making everything work and making first downs, and we got back on a roll in third down and his play in the red zone. The whole offense in the second half did well, but particularly Andrew was playing lights out. So, and then we did give him some help. We did give him some help along the way.
Frank, you admitted to second guessing some of the calls earlier in the season. And I'm not even talking about the 4th and 4, but what did you not like yesterday? When you watched the film, what did you not like?
I mean, I felt like there were a lot of positives as far as assessing my own deal and looking back on the 4th and 4 thing. I realized it was a pretty aggressive call. Obviously thought a lot about it in the last 24 hours and still feel really good about the decision. I understand the other side of that decision, and I'm not saying that that's not fair, but in my mind, right now we're the best team in the NFL on third down. We're really good at converting those. So that's number one. Our quarterback was on fire. That's number two. Our offense was on fire. I didn't feel like they could stop us, so that was a big factor. If we convert it, I'm going to have to use a timeout, and we're going to be on the minus 49 with 23 seconds to go and no timeouts. I just saw Vinny make a 65-yarder in practice with room to spare. So in my mind, we only need 10 more yards, and we have 23 seconds. I got all kinds of options. I can throw it over the middle and clock it. They're probably going to play man coverage. They're probably not going to play zone. So we can probably still have sideline throws available to us and take it at 5-yard chunks. If they cover the sideline, we can take a 10-yard chunk and clock it. I really felt positive about all those options. So it was a bit risky and it was a bit aggressive, but I think it was the right call and feel good about it. Just didn't feel good about the execution.
In that
Play it out in
situation,
your mind.
did Andrew go to the line of scrimmage with multiple plays, or you call a play and that's the play you want to run? Is there options at the line of scrimmage?
He always has options to change it, but there was nothing I would change about that call. I mean, especially seeing what they played to it. That's not, they were dropping 8 and kind of stacking everybody in the middle. So you're going to be somewhat one-on-one on the outside. They're playing this double hole coverage on the inside where it's pretty tight in there, and we're going to have a high percentage throw on the outside one-on-one that we feel good about.
Is
So
that throw?
coming off a loss like this one, how do you handle these next couple of days with the short turnaround to New England?
Yeah, the guys, I mean, I haven't seen them yet today, except a couple guys walking around, but I think for us being a young team, it just appears to me the maturity level of these young players, just eager to get on to the next game, just eager to get ready. So I think the most important thing is, hey, how are we going to take care of them physically? How will we take care of them physically, get your bodies right, get these game plans in quickly, and just get everything focused on New England.
When you say a high percentage throw, obviously it did get completed. When you watch the tape, what would you prefer to have happen there? Would that ball, should that ball be more outside maybe, or what, ideally?
I mean, it's.
We had 464 yards, so I'm not ripping them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it just was not perfectly in sync, and that's the kind of throw. There's not a big margin of error. There's not a big margin of error out there. It's not going to be wide open. It's not going to be wide open. So, any little miss is going to be accentuated.
It sounds like the whole way you reflect on that play, you're always expecting them to convert. So when he didn't, what was your surprise level? Throw was low and not really catchable.
When you have a guy who,
Considering how hot he was.
yeah, well, that's just it. I mean, well, that's just it. I mean, literally the confidence level, it just felt like he could do nothing wrong. It felt like everything that we called, he was making it work. If it wasn't open, he made it work. I mean, anybody who questioned anything about arm or throwing the ball down the field, I mean, he's consistently answered those questions time and time again. People have questioned him from the beginning of the year till whatever. So he just got it going. He just got it going in a big time way, played at a super, super high level. And I think we were all feeding off of that confidence in what our franchise quarterback was doing.
Frank, do you expect Robert Turbin to practice this week? And I think you have the exemption. Do you know yet what you're going to do there?
Yeah, it's being talked about right now, and obviously we'll have to make a pretty quick decision, but we are talking about that.
And then I think Jordan only had 1 carry in the first half. Is that just game plan wise?
No, I mean, I didn't anticipate it working out like that. When Rath and I talked beforehand, it was going to be more of a mix. But what happened, we did have some stuff, as you guys saw, for Naheem that we wanted him in there. And then we just got into no huddle mode. And he got a little hot. He just had a little bit of a feel and started making a couple plays. And it's just and we got into pass mode. And that's just kind of the way it played out.
I know you talked about like sort of babying Andrew with your play calling, from day one, and you've always been clear about that. But as he starts to sort of get back to himself, and then he has a game like that yesterday, I mean, how does that sort of ease your mind from a play calling standpoint? Like you talked about, the confidence that gave you yesterday didn't work out, but how does that maybe affect at all, if at all, your game?
Yeah, it affects it a lot. I mean, it affects it. I mean, the guys, we all know the kind of player he is, but, even though we know that's true, I have to be careful. We all have to be careful of saying, this is a team game. I mean, he's a great player, and we expect him to do what he's been doing. Had a lot of good play this year, and his best game yesterday. Been a lot of other good play besides that, but really, really good yesterday. And so just can't, we don't want to be in the boat of, hey, all right, we'll let Andrew do it for us. That'd be bad ball by us. That'd be bad coaching. So we got to continue to. It's a team effort. He's a key player on our team.
Frank, one thing with Turbin, you guys have been very insistent on erring on the side of caution, throwing a guy out there. He will practice maybe once. Is that enough to play Thursday night? I mean, not knowing what he's done for the last month?
I've seen it happen before. If something like that were to happen, I've been in places before where if something like happened, it'd be in a limited role, a very specific role that you feel like that player could fill and get 5 or 10 plays and take a little bit of the load. Or it could be something that guy does specifically really well, and you know he does really well. So, hey, let's at least use him for that if something like that comes up.
Yardage or whatever.
Whatever it could be, yeah.
Yeah, last question. Marlon, I think you practiced a couple days last week. What more do you need to see from him before you feel like he can give it a go in a game?
Ultimately, it comes down to trusting the players to say, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm 100%. I can let this thing rip. I have no hesitation. I feel every gear that he has in his body, he feels, and he has no reservations. I think because of the setback we had, I think after going through that, it's pretty critical that the player is just all in, and there's no hesitation and no doubt in his mind.
Locker room's open. Thanks, Frank.